Hey guys, Nathan Stremick with Signal Realtors here. One thing came up this week I wanted to touch on. We go do an offer. The buyer says, hey, my bank will send over the inspector. We don't need to line it up. So I want to touch, what's the difference between an appraiser and an inspector? So an appraiser will get sent over from your bank. We really have no control over that. And there's a bunch of appraisers in a pool. They get the order, they accept the order, and then they go out and do it. So we don't have much control over the appraiser. Home inspector, we can pick whoever we want. So home inspector will dive into the property. They'll be there for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 2.5 hours, looking at all this stuff. They'll help educate a buyer on what's deferred maintenance, what stuff that should be fixed now, what stuff that you shouldn't buy the house, why you should buy the house. They'll go over everything. They do a real deep dive into it. They'll check the attic, they'll check the electrical, they'll check the plumbing under the sink, all the stuff that you may not dive into before you put the offer in. So that's kind of what the home inspectors do. Appraisers, they're there for 20, 30 minutes. They're driving around the neighborhood, looking at different comps in the neighborhood, seeing what's sold, what hasn't sold, and then they go back, they formulate a report. Their report has a lot more numbers in it. They're justifying value for the bank. They want to justify value and justify that house meets the requirements of the FHA, the VA, the conventional, whatever it may be. So that's kind of what the appraiser does. Not a lot of control with them, and they help the bank know that house is what we said it is, and that they feel comfortable lending you that money on that house. Home inspector, they'll go over to your house. So after they do the inspection, sometimes the buyers are at it. I highly recommend it, but sometimes you can't make it to the inspection, so that they'll send over a report when you get done, and that's where we go through and dissect the report. I mean, they're gonna have a lot of issues, kind of like buying a used vehicle. Even new construction houses has a lot of little things here and there. Punch list items that if you're buying an existing home, a lot of it goes on to the new buyer to take on. But big items we're looking for, I mean, electrical, if they have electrical issues, we want to get that fixed right away. Plumbing, you don't want to inherit a house with a plumbing issue. Insulation in the attic, almost, I'd say 90% of all the homes don't have enough insulation in the attic. That stuff's settled over time. A lot of times we just, expect to see that. They'll go check electrical, plumbing, insulation in the attic, foundation, any type of foundation issues, that needs to be looked at very, very closely. There's no sense buying a house with a bad foundation. That's kind of some of the main stuff we're looking for on the home inspection. So let's say you have some repairs you want done. So how do they get negotiated? Sometimes a buyer doesn't have the money to make the repairs, then we got to put it back on the seller to make the repairs. Sometimes the buyer, my recommendation, if the buyer's all right making the repairs afterwards, would be to negotiate a price reduction on it. At least then you can line up the contractors, you can line up, make sure it's done. If you want to do, if you have a plumbing leak, but you're going to redo the bathroom anyways, it'd be kind of nice to, you need to get it fixed right away, but maybe you tie that into a home improvement project or something you're going to do after you buy the house. So it can go both ways. A lot depends on what the buyer's comfortable with. Some of them want it fixed before, and that's great. Make sure it's fixed, make sure they know the cost. Some of them would rather take on that repair themselves and just reduce the purchase price. So a lot of times as the buyer's agent, we don't even see the appraisal that gets sent to the buyer. As long as you meet value, a lot of times you can expect that appraisal to come in $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 over value. They don't come in super high a lot of times. They come in close to what they see as the appraiser gets to see the purchase agreement. Some stuff we see them flag is handrails going downstairs, broken windows, chip peeling paint. Those are kind of the bigger things that we see on the inspection or from the appraiser. If you have a house with a lot of chipped and peeling paint, and you want it to go FHA, you want it to go VA, definitely get that fixed before you list it, because that will more than likely come back on the appraisal. That's the difference between the two. I hope that makes sense. If you have any other questions, let us know. We'd be happy to answer them for you, and have a great day.